Everybody, and welcome back to the Entertainment Brick Show. Today we have a continuation here of my ideas for a new LEGO Marvel Avengers Infinity Saga game, basically. Last video, I was kind of laying out all the ground rules, which, took a little bit because this might be kind of a confusing thing to understand at first. And then I also went through the levels, level ideas for the Infinity War part of this game. Now it is time for the Endgame part of this game. So all the levels from Endgame. Again, there's a prologue level with one part. Then there's 6 full-blown levels, each with 3 different separate sections in that level. I'm going to probably go over the rules really quickly once again, just to kind of get an understanding. If anybody didn't watch the Infinity War one, go watch that one, because that's obviously part 1 of this breakdown, I guess, of this idea for a new LEGO Marvel Avengers game. And then we're going to get into the levels. We're going to start with the prologue level, then go to the 6 levels, of course, and then that'll be it, and then we'll continue on with the next thing in other videos. So, quick overview of just kind of like the rules and stuff like that for this video here. Basically, what I did over the course of, I don't know, probably a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, I don't know, I don't remember, but basically over a period of time, I kind of wrote up ideas for a LEGO Marvel Avengers Infinity Saga video game. So like the levels, mostly levels, and then also like DLC kind of. And I've decided to kind of share those ideas with you in a bunch of these separate kind of videos, talking about the levels, the ins and outs of the levels, the characters that you play as, the boss fights if there is one, and kind of like what the objective is and in that level and what the level is going to be. Yeah, so that's basically the idea of this video series here, kind of going through these LEGO video game ideas that I have and sharing them with you. But it might be kind of a little bit confusing because obviously I can't really design this full-blown game. I obviously can't make this game myself. This is again just a fan-made idea for a LEGO Marvel Avengers Infinity Saga game that LEGO could possibly may or may not do. Again, this is not at all anything that LEGO is doing that we know of yet at the time of this recording. Maybe in a couple days, LEGO reveals that their next video game is an Infinity Saga game. But again, this is all just fan-made ideas of what I think would be a pretty cool LEGO Marvel Avengers Infinity Saga game. And yeah, so basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is going through levels, and each main level has 3 different parts. And basically what I mean by that is, you'll have a cutscene at the beginning of the level, then you play through a section, then you have another cutscene, then you play through a section, and that counts. And then you have another cutscene, then play through a section. There's 3 different sections, and all those sections combine together to make one full-blown level of the game. And that's just kind of how it's like. That's how I structured it, I guess. Would basically be the best way to describe it. So, there you have it. We're going to start with the prologue level, just to kind of get like a grasp on how this all works a little bit better. And then once we get into the the main 6 levels, then I think it'll be kind of easier to understand. So, there you have it. Let's get into that prologue level right now. Endgame ended up being a little bit more difficult to make level ideas based off of than Infinity War, because Infinity War had like a lot of action scenes. Endgame kind of took a little bit to kind of build up to some of those action moments. Not to say that they weren't good, because they were pretty good, but it kind of took a little bit to get the ball rolling here in that movie, because they were just setting up a bunch of exposition, which is completely fine because that movie was a lot of fun. But so some of the levels in this one are kind of like a little less action oriented and more maybe puzzle oriented in this case, which is fine, obviously, but I just wanted to kind of mention that before we get in here, because there are some kind of like levels where I had to stretch a little bit to kind of make an objective in this case. And for instance, this prologue level, which is going to be the prologue level. This is where Tony Stark. You're going to play as Tony Stark and Nebula, and this is where they're on the Milano, and the objective is to score 3 goals in the field goal, like flicking a field goal game. So my idea here is, considering, again, this is this was kind of like oh man, I don't have a prologue level. What am I gonna do? I'll have to like kind of really stretch to find something to make out of this, I guess. Um, and the idea here is you would kind of go like the place where you're or the spot where you're playing in is going to be the Milano. Obviously, that's going to be like the place where you're going to be running around and stuff. And in the Milano, you're going to have to like find or solve different puzzles to get different like basketball hoops opened up around the Milano, or like you have to build one maybe one has to be revealed from a secret wall or something, and then you have to flick like a piece of paper into it, and then like that's 1 out of 3, and then you have to go to the other one and like solve a puzzle, then get to the other hoop, and then that's 2 out of 3, and then because Tony Stark and Nebula are gonna have two different abilities and stuff, so you just use those different abilities around the Milano to try and find field goals. I don't know. It was kind of just like a last minute like I maybe there's not much content left in the beginning here. How am I going to make a prologue level? And this is just kind of what I came up with on the fly because I didn't really know what to do. Considering there wasn't any like again not too much action or not too much interesting moments in the movie that could be translated well into a Lego game. But then I think about like the Lego Marvel, the first Lego Marvel Avengers game with Age of Ultron. There were some levels where you were like in the Avengers Tower and you were, at a party and you were working on making Ultron as Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. So maybe this isn't the worst thing that I could have done, but it definitely not as exciting as a giant fight scene. Which I mean, again, you absolutely will get to those in this game. So just kind of wait it out a little bit. You got to get through these, shorter parts here. But yeah, that's or not shorter parts, but less interesting parts here, which are more puzzle oriented. So there you have it. Prologue level. You're on the Milano, playing as Tony Stark and Nebula, and the idea is to find field goals around the Milano or hoops or whatever, and flick a piece of paper into them. And that's basically that's where the level ends after you do the third one. And again, that was just the prologue level. Now we're into the main level, where each level has 3 different parts to it. Alright, so now we are in the 6 main levels for Avengers Endgame, which again is a part of the same game as the Infinity War one. This is just a continuation of this like main story mode here. So level 1 is, I just titled it After the Blip, Post Blip, whatever you want to call it, post snap, after the snap, whatever. So we're going to start with level 1, part 1 here, and this one is going to be about killing Thanos. So you play as Captain America in the his Endgame look, Black Widow in her Endgame look, Thor in his Endgame look. What is that there? Captain Marvel. Hold on. Yeah, Captain Marvel, Rocket Raccoon, and War Machine. So you play as pretty large amount of characters to start off here, and the objective is to defeat Thanos. In his little farmhouse, basically, is the idea here. So you're gonna, play as a large amount of characters here. I think there's like 6 of them right there. And you're gonna be going in Thanos' house, in Thanos' little, farmhouse, whatever. And the idea is that he's gonna have like, the Infinity Gauntlet, and you're gonna have to fight him in this little house, basically, and find different ways to kind of get up close to him, and then do some damage on him and stuff like that. And that's basically the first part, just a boss fight with Thanos. And then eventually, obviously there's going to be like a cutscene where Thor kills him. I don't know, they're probably going to make some sort of Lego joke out of it to make it less violent of a moment. But yeah, that's basically the idea there, is that you're going to just be playing as all these characters and you're going to be defeating Thanos in a boss fight. So then obviously there's going to be a cutscene there. And then we move on to part 2. Again, a lot of these first couple levels are going to be very less action oriented. It's going to be much more like little puzzles and kind of like making your way to something. Like the objective is far away and you have to make your way over to it, while also doing puzzles, and like maybe something falls in front of you, you got to find a way to get past it. So for this is a prime example here. Part 2 of level 1 here is going to be visiting Tony Stark. So basically you're going to be playing as Steve Rogers in his Endgame look, Scott Lang, and Natasha Romanoff, and the objective is to find Tony Stark. So basically you're going to be at Tony Stark's little like cabin on the water there, whatever that was, his house on the water, and you're going to maybe start out like outside of the cabin, and you're going to make your way to the front door, find a way to open the door. Then while you're inside the cabin, you gotta kind of like run around. Maybe the Lego will do some sort of joke thing where like Tony Stark is stuck in a fridge or something like that, and you have to get him out of it with the characters that you have. So again, very like puzzle oriented, less action oriented as we kind of build the story here, build the exposition, and move on eventually to some of the actual like action and intense moments of this movie. But again, as we just kind of start out, we're going to be focusing on just very simple little things that you just got to kind of make puzzles, have puzzles to solve and things like that as, very simple characters. So in this case, the objective is to find Tony Stark again. The Lego will spin it. Lego sometimes does this with some of the Lego games, when there isn't enough, I don't want to say enough content, but maybe I guess you could say it like that. When there isn't enough content, Lego will kind of make something up just to try and get a little bit of a reason, to be playing this part of the level, and to actually make something out of that part of the movie or show or whatever it's based off of. So in this case, that's going to be that, you got to make your way to the front door, and then you got to find Tony Stark somewhere, or maybe you have to open his office doors or something. I don't know. A few different ideas that you could do with that one. But for part 3 of the level here, there's going to be another kind of, a little less action-oriented, but this one's a little bit more interesting, I think. And this is going to be part 3 of level 1, is going to be called the Quantum Realm. And this is where you play as Steve Rogers, Natasha Romanoff, and then Professor Hulk. So, and then the objective is to power up and fix the Quantum Realm machine. So, what I'm thinking here is, do you remember, or, if you ever played a Lego game, there are sometimes levels where you have to maybe build a bunch of things, or save some people, or, push some things into place, and on the top middle of the screen are little circles that kind of show you what you need to get, and what you need to get done in that part of the level, and who you need to save, for example, I guess. And actually, for example, in Lego Marvel Avengers, the first one, there was a level in the first movie where I think you played as Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, and the objective was to save a bunch of citizens on the ground during the 2012 New York fight with the Chitauri and Loki, and that there were like little circles that showed which people you need to save and stuff like that, and then once you saved them, a check would go off. So in this case, in this part of the level, I was thinking using that similar, I guess gameplay technique. I don't know if that's a gameplay technique, but similar, thing, I guess. And that would be to, maybe you'd like power up a generator. You have to fix Scott Lang's van, and then you also have to build a bunch of computers and stuff like that. Just kind of like a bunch of little things on the top that show you what you need to get done, and it will check off once you've done it in this little area that you're in. In this case, it would probably be like that warehouse that they were in. I think it was a warehouse. I have to rewatch that movie to remember, but I think it was a warehouse where they were at to try and like power up the Quantum Realm machine for Scott Lang. And in this case, that's basically what you're going to be doing here. And there will be like the little check marks that will tell you, oh, you got this part done. Now move on to the next part. And then eventually, once you've done all the parts, it'll move on to the cutscene. And that also ends the level right there. So there is your 3 parts to level 1. Again, not as interesting maybe as, the Infinity War level 1. But again, this is the first kind of like, I don't know, maybe half hour, 40 minutes, were a lot of just kind of like building on what's going to be happening in the coming moments of this movie. So now we'll move on to level 2 here. Alright, so now we are moving on to level 2 here. This one I just titled like Reuniting or whatever. I'm not focused. The titles are the least of my worries of the levels currently. I'm only mainly focused on what's actually going to be happening in the levels, how to design the objectives, stuff like that. So level 2, this entire level is basically going to be very similar to level 1, where it's not too much action, just kind of, more building up that story exposition, I was thinking about skipping a lot of it, but once I kind of got to, like, where the action or the, the interesting superhero stuff actually starts, I found it very difficult to really design, like, enough levels based off of what you got in the movie. So I ended up having to come back and be like, all right, maybe I should probably rework this a little bit. So level 2 again is going to be a lot more of that exposition build up and just kind of introducing characters, stuff like that. But for this level in particular, again, this is going to be introducing characters. This is going to be bringing back some of the characters. Is when other characters from our main group starting off go off and look for other people to join the team here. So in this case, let's start with level 2, part 1. This one is going to be New Asgard, and the objective here is to find Thor as Professor Hulk and Rocket Raccoon. So basically, what I'm thinking here is you're going to be in... I feel like it's going to be very similar to some of the Lego Harry Potter levels from the Lego Harry Potter games. Because a fair amount of those Lego Harry Potter levels from that game were in like little houses, like little rooms and houses and stuff like that. Like a lot of objectives were. I think there was even one level or something where you fought a book in a bedroom or something like that. So there are a lot of the or a fair amount of those levels were in like little rooms or little houses and stuff like that were kind of small areas to explore, but still a fun game. I like that game. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I'm kind of thinking, very kind of Lego Harry Potter style, sort of, where you're in like this little small area of a house or something like that. And for this case, it would be Thor's house in New Asgard. And my idea is that you're going to play as Rocket and Professor Hulk, and you're going to be in Thor's house, and you basically have to make it to where Thor is in like the living room or whatever it was, I think. So there's going to be like all trash piled up or something like that, and you have to find a way past it, and then you got to, go down a hallway, but Hulk can't fit, so you got to find a way to break down a few walls to get Hulk to fit through and stuff like that. Just kind of like stretching this scene a little bit more from the movie, rather than just, Hulk and Rocket walking in and finding Thor. You're going to actually have to kind of like do a few puzzles and stuff like that to actually reach Thor. And yeah, that's kind of the idea, just to kind of add, an extra part to, this game, so that actually fits the full criteria here of having to have 3 parts per level. And yeah, finding Thor. That is the objective for part 1 here. But then for part 2, we have the Ronin, and this is where you're going to be playing as Clint Barton in his Ronin outfit, and then also Natasha Romanoff. And this is actually an action moment, so that's kind of fun. And the objective here is to fight the Yakuza gang members. So this is where, of course, fairly quick scene, where Ronin is fighting the Yakuza. Was it Yakuza? Maybe Yakuza. Yakuza gang members in his Ronin outfit, and then Natasha finds him. I don't know exactly where he was in that moment, but yeah, basically, Natasha finds him. So the idea here is it's gonna be a little bit different, where Natasha's actually gonna be helping Ronin fight the Yakuza gang members here. And the idea is that there's gonna be like different waves of these Yakuza members coming at Natasha and Ronin, and you have to fight them together. So maybe there'll be like a 25 that you have to defeat to move on, and then maybe there'll be like a small little mini boss fight with the leader. I think it was. I don't remember the exact name of the leader there, but you have like a little mini boss fight with him or something like that. Very more action oriented in this part of that level there. But yeah, that would be kind of a cool little moment. And for part 3, this one was really tough to do. This was like the one part where I was like, man, I already have the rest of the movie written out. I have everything from beginning of the movie written out. Now there's like this little 10-minute section that I don't know what to do with to make something out of, and I ended up having to just go with this because I didn't know what to do. And this was level 2, part 3. This is going to be the Barton house. Basically, this is where Clint Barton uses the time machine to go back to his house to see his family again. So you're going to be playing as Clint Barton in the quantum suit, and then also Natasha Romanoff in the quantum suit. And the objective here is to reach when you're actually at the Barton house, you have to reach like the front door. I didn't know what to do. So my thoughts here are, you're going to have to like run through the barn, or maybe you maybe in the cutscene, instead of, I think he showed up or time traveled and was spat out outside, like he was outside of the right outside the door. But maybe in the Lego the Lego game, they can kind of twist it a little bit, where you like spawned in the in the barn, I guess, and maybe you have to play as Natasha and Clint to kind of like escape the barn, and that's how you try and reach the Barton front door. I don't know. This was like the one thing that I was like, man, I don't really like this, but well, this is all I can do right now. So the objective here is to reach the Barton house front door, and maybe you start off in the barn and you have to find a way out of the barn, and then you can run all the way to the Barton house front door. So that's the idea there. So then that kind of ends the level. That ends the level 2 there, and then we'll move on to level 3. This is where some of the action gets started. So this is a little bit better. Now we're getting into some of the action here. This is where it gets exciting. So level 3 is going to be the traveling through time level, and level 3 part 1 is going to start with Asgard in 2013. So you're going to be playing as Thor in the Quantum Realm outfit there, and then also Rocket Raccoon in the Quantum Realm outfit. And the objective is just kind of explore Asgard. You have to maybe there'll be moments where you have to stay hidden from Asgard guards, and you have to make your way through a door, and then you have to solve puzzles to open doors. So basically, this is all just going to be on Asgard. Maybe you have to find what was Thor's mother's name? Was it Frigga? I think Frigga. I don't remember exactly, but you'd maybe have to find her. And just kind of explore Asgard in 2013 to, I think their goal was to search for Mjolnir, right? Or was it to find I think it was actually to get the Infinity Stone, the Reality Stone, I think, right? I think that's what it was. That's why they went to Asgard 2013. I think so. Anyways, point is, exploring Asgard, you're going to have puzzles to solve in Asgard, maybe you have to fight some Asgardian guards. I don't know, that sounds so weird to me, but yeah. You have to fight some Asgardians, stuff like that. You have to find Thor's mom, and whatever. There's to be little things around, but yeah, it's basically just gonna be a level on Asgard. That's basically the gist of it. So there you go. There you have it. Then part 2 of level 3 here is going to be I didn't know what to title it. I just called it training because I didn't really know what to call it. But this is the moment where Nebula and Gamora. You're gonna be playing as both Nebula and Gamora. You're gonna are fighting those alien guard looking things. I didn't know if there was a training thing or whatever, but there were these alien guards basically that Nebula and Gamora were fighting in this one scene. So I was thinking, why not translate that into a level? I think that could work pretty well. So in this level, you're gonna be playing as Gamora and Nebula, and you're gonna be fighting these alien guards on these platforms, and that's basically gonna be the gist of that part there. Nothing too crazy, just going to be a nice little action moment there. And that brings us straight into part 3. This is probably, I think after this is where all this good stuff kind of comes in. All the action moment, the real action moments, and a lot of fun stuff here. So, part 3 is going to be the 2012 New York part. This is where you're going to be playing as Captain America, as Endgame, whatever, and then Ant-Man in the Endgame outfit, whatever. And the objective here is a boss fight with 2012 Captain America. Because of course, that was that fight where Captain America the Captain Americas fought each other, in the the Stark Tower, right? I think that's where it was. But yeah, they're gonna be fighting each other there, and it's gonna be a full blown boss fight with 2012 Captain America. So you're playing as Captain America, and Ant-Man, but playing as Captain America and you're fighting Captain America. So of course, this had to be a boss fight that was translated into this game. So of course, here it is. So. That's kind of how you end off level 3, and then we'll move on to level 4. Now we are on to level 4, and this one I just titled the Infinity Stones. Again, a lot of these titles I just kind of was like, all right, what words relate to the Avengers movies? Infinity and Stones. All right, the Infinity Stones. That's basically how I just did it. So, anyways, part 1 of level 4, we're gonna get right into it here, is going to be 1970 New Jersey, where you're going to be playing as Steve Rogers in a military disguise and Tony Stark in a, disguise. And the objective here is to find the Tesseract in the military base. So basically, you're going to be kind of led through the military base, and you're going to be going to different moments. You're going to, meet Howard Stark, and, you're going to see Peggy Carter or whatever, but you're going to be basically just going through this military base, solving puzzles and stuff like that. And eventually you'll reach the Tesseract with the path that you basically follow. So, very kind of simple, concept, just kind of going through this military base until you reach the Tesseract as Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. So, they, again, very simple. And that's where you start off. Then, part 2 here. This is actually an interesting part. I'm excited to talk about this one here. So part 2 of level 4 here is going to be called Who Seeks the Soul Stone. There we go. And you're going to be playing as Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton in like their endgame looks, whatever, their versions. And the objective here is, depending on the character that you decide to play as, because in the beginning of this part you'll be given an option, kind of very similar to Lego DC Supervillains, where you were given the option to choose whether to join the heroes or the villains. But in this case, in the beginning of this cutscene, you'll be able to choose as whether you want to play as Natasha or Clint, and that would obviously affect the level here. And the objective is to defeat Black Widow or defeat Clint Barton. This is going to be very Revenge of the Sith style, where, if you don't know, I actually use this a lot when I kind of talk about like Lego levels and Lego level ideas, is that, or I write them out, whatever, is that in the Complete Saga, the Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, the final Mustafar level on Revenge of the Sith is where you play as Anakin and Obi-Wan in the beginning, and you're trying to escape, the crumbling Mustafar building, and eventually when you get to the final boss, you play as Anakin and Obi-Wan still. So if you had a co-op player, the co-op player would play as Anakin, and you would play as Obi-Wan, and you'd have a bunch of, hearts, and you'd have to fight each other. So the idea here is, if you played as, if you had a co-op player, you would do it Revenge of the Sith style as well, where, your co-op character could play as Clint Barton, and then you'd play as Natasha Romanoff, and you'd have to fight each other as like a full-blown boss fight. And that's the whole idea of this level, basically. And yeah, that's the whole idea of this part of the level, is that, if you play it single player, obviously it's just going to be you play as that character, and then there's going to be no co-op character to play as. It's just going to be you have to fight that other guy, whatever, or Clint Barton or Natasha, whoever you decide to choose. And then with, co-op, you would have to fight each other, which I think would be pretty cool. I think it would be a lot of fun anyways. But yeah, that's the idea there for part 2. Thought that would be kind of a fun little change in the gameplay mechanics there. Then for part 3, this one's called Hulk's Snap, and you're going to be playing as Rocket Raccoon, James Rhodes, or Rhodey, whatever, War Machine, in his endgame kind of look, and then also Thor in his endgame look. And the objective is to gather the Infinity Stones, prepare the Iron Gauntlet, and activate the Barn Door Protocol. So this is obviously when Hulk is getting ready to snap his fingers to, bring everybody back and start the kind of like end of the movie here, the end of Endgame. And the idea here is that you're going to be in the Avengers compound, and you're going to be kind of starting everything up. You're going to be starting the process up. So again, gathering like the Infinity Stones, preparing the Iron Gauntlet, maybe to solve. You basically going to be solving puzzles just to do all this stuff, and then activating the Deep Barn Door Protocol to make sure that everything's secure and all that. So yeah, this is basically just going to be activating everything, getting everything started. So that's the idea there for part 3, and then that, of course, again, like I said, ends the, or not like I said, but that, of course, ends the level here after that part. And then we move on to level 5 and level 6. These are like the full-blown action scenes. These are full-blown action levels. Now we are on to level 5, and this one is the Iron Gauntlet. I just, titled that, 'cause whatever. And again, this is where the action begins. This is where all the big war begins, basically. But we still have a few little things to get through first before we really get into the full war. But here we go. So let's start. Let's do this. So level 5, part 1 is called the Outrider Chase. I just titled it just cause. And this is going to use the similar, or not similar, but the same gameplay mechanic where you can hold down Y to switch your character and also switch the place that you're in. I believe this was introduced in LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, where you could, in a level, you could hold Y and switch to a different character or different set of characters in a completely different area than your other set of characters is. So that's what we're going to be using here, is that same mechanic there. I believe I used it for the Infinity War part of the game as well, but I'm also going to be using it here. So again, this part 1 is called the Outrider Chase, where you're going to be playing as Clint Barton in his endgame look, and the objective here is to escape the Outriders. So obviously there's going to be a large amount of Outriders chasing after Clint, and the idea here is that you have to run away from them, and eventually you're going to have like little moments where you can stop and like kind of like solve like little puzzles and stuff to keep moving on and to keep escaping the Outriders. There's going to be Outriders attacking you and stuff like that, coming at you. So yeah, there you go. The Outrider Chase. That's for just that character there. You just play as Clint Barton escaping the Outriders. But if you hold Y and you switch to another character, you're going to be playing as Ant-Man in this case. And the idea here is you're going to be riding down the stream to save Hulk, Rhodey, and I think it was Rocket. Yeah, and Rocket Raccoon. So in this part of the movie, Ant-Man goes small and has to ride down like this stream of trash. I think there was like a mug, there was like a cap that he was landing on, and basically the idea was that he had to get down to where Hulk, Rhodey, and Rocket were, and he had to like lift a piece of metal or something to get Rhodey out of, or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but he had to basically help them. And the idea here is that you're going to be going down that stream to try and find them and save them. So that's the idea there, is you're going to be like, jumping on different trash and things like that, and, not touching the water. The water you can't touch or you'll, die. And yeah, basically that's the idea there. So again, Clint Barton's side, you're going to be escaping Outriders, and then Ant-Man's side, you're going to be, jumping on different pieces of trash to kind of make your way down the stream and eventually find your way to save Hulk, Rhodey, and Rocket. So there you go. There's part 1. Now for part 2, this one I just titled Thanos' Return, and you're going to be playing as Captain America Endgame, Iron Man Endgame look, and Thor Endgame look, and the objective here is to defeat Thanos. This is going to be another Thanos boss fight since part 1 of level 1 in this case of this game, or of this movie part of the game here. And the objective is to defeat Thanos. So you're going to have another boss fight with Thanos, very straightforward, very simple, just a full-blown boss fight with Thanos in the destroyed Avengers compound area. Then, this one I just titled On Your Left, part 3 here, and this is where you're going to be playing as Iron Man in his endgame look, and also Pepper Potts in her rescue armor. And the objective here is to fight Thanos' army. So, of course, this is where the heroes come together, and all the villains are kind of coming together. Thanos' army basically comes together, and then all the Marvel heroes comes together, and you're gonna, in this case, Iron Man and Pepper Potts are going to be highlighted here. Those are the characters you're going to be playing as, and you're going to be basically flying around and taking down Outriders, and then landing, and then taking down Outriders. Just a lot of defeating Thanos' army. Maybe there'll be like a mini boss fight with Ebony Maw, just cause, you know what I mean? But yeah, basically you should be fighting Thanos' army in this large war battlefield, basically, and that's where the level ends after that. So now we'll move on to level 6, the final level. Now we are on to level 6, the final level of Endgame, of the Endgame part of this game, and also the last level of this video. So let's get going right now with it. Level 6, part 1. This is going to be called Passing the Gauntlet. So this is also going to use that same gameplay mechanic as LEGO Star Wars 3 the LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars, where you can hold Y and switch to a different set of characters in different areas. So yeah, I don't have to explain that again. But in this case, you're going to be playing as Wanda Maximoff. First time you play Wanda in Endgame here. And the objective is to defeat Thanos. So you're going to have a boss fight with Thanos as Wanda. Yeah, so that's basically that. Just a boss fight with Thanos as Wanda. If you hold Y, you'll be able to switch to Clint Barton in his Endgame suit. And the idea is to pass the gauntlet to different people. So this is going to be a very interesting kind of part of the level here. So you start as Clint Barton, and the idea is that you have to maybe like solve a puzzle. Maybe you have to get through an Outrider horde or something like that. And eventually, like once you kind of do that little puzzle in that little area, there'll be like a little mini cutscene kind of, where you throw, or in this case, Clint would like throw the gauntlet, and then Black Panther would catch it. And then as Black Panther, you would have to do some sort of puzzle or fight some Outriders or something like that. And then that would cause Black Panther to throw the gauntlet at Iron Spider. And then Iron Spider would catch it, and then you'd play as Iron Spider, and you'd do some sort of puzzle, some sort of fight with the Outriders or whatever, and then that would kind of end that part of the level. So, in the movie, the Iron Gauntlet was being thrown around to try and reach. Who was it trying to reach? I think it was. I don't remember exactly who it was trying to reach. I think Captain Marvel, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but point is, there was that scene in the movie where the Gauntlet was being thrown around for other heroes to catch and like have a moment with, to kind of highlight their character basically, which was really cool. And I wanted to translate that into this game. So, yeah, you start as Clint Barton, then you go to Black Panther, then you go to Iron Spider, and with the of course with the Iron Gauntlet, and you'll have to solve some sort of puzzle in the area that you're in as those characters, as that character to start off. And then eventually, once you solve that puzzle, a little mini cutscene, you'll throw the gauntlet, and then another character will catch it, continue on, do their thing. Cutscene, then goes to Iron Spider. Iron Spider catches it, he does his thing, and that kind of ends that part there again. And then the other part is Wanda fighting Thanos, of course. So, yeah, that's basically part one there. I thought that would be kind of a fun little change of gameplay style, I guess. Then for part two, this is the She's Got Help part, where you play as Captain Marvel in her Endgame look, and also Pepper Potts' rescue armor once again. And the objective is to get through the Outrider Horde. This is, of course, highlighting the Women of Marvel moment, which was really cool in Avengers Endgame. And again, in this case, you're going to be playing as Captain Marvel and Pepper Potts. And the idea is to kind of clear a path for the other Women of Marvel to make their way through the Outrider Horde and you're going to be flying through trying to, as Captain Marvel, like I said, and Pepper Potts, trying to make this pathway for them. So you're going to be, fighting Outriders, you're going to be solving puzzles in the battlefield to clear the pathway so that these group of people can make their way through. So that's basically that there. Gotta get through the Outrider Horde. And then part 3 of level 6, this is the end. This is the end of Endgame. And part 3 is titled Only One. And this is where you play as Iron Man in his Endgame outfit, Thor in his Endgame outfit, and Captain America in his Endgame outfit. And the objective here is to defeat Thanos, of course. This is the final Thanos boss fight. You'll be playing as Iron Man, like I said. Captain America will probably have Mjolnir, wielding Mjolnir. And then also Thor with Stormbreaker, and they're all just taking shots at Thanos, and they're all just fighting Thanos in this large final boss fight here, basically. And yeah, that's really it right there. So there you all have it. I've been recording for like an hour, so I gotta wrap this up real quick. And yeah, so there you go. There's the endgame part of my Lego Marvel Avengers Infinity Saga game, and that kind of ends out the main storyline, and now we'll be moving on to another video. The next video, give you a little sneak preview, I guess, is going to be where they're going to be in the original Lego Marvel Avengers game. You had your main storyline, and then you also had 3 separate levels based off of 3 separate Avengers Avengers Marvel superhero related movies. For instance, there was an Iron Man 3 level, a Thor, the Dark World level, and also Captain America, the Winter Soldier level. So there was, again, 3 levels based off of other Marvel movies, and in this case, it's going to be a similar thing, except there's going to be 6 levels based off of other Marvel movies that I think were kind of like roughly around the time when Infinity War and Endgame came out. And actually some of the new ones too. Actually, some of the Phase 4 levels are in here too. I forgot I designed a few of those. I'm kind of looking through them right now, to see which movies I chose for these levels here. So, yeah, that's basically what next video is going to be a part of this series. But for now, that is going to end us off here. Endgame is all finished. It's going to be a really long video. It's going to be quite the video to edit, so I better get on that. So, there you have it. If you enjoyed that video, do the common YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.